So tonight's session is all about our brand new mobile application. Now I have my phone in the foreground here, and I have the system in the background. We're not going to be going over much in the way of details with regards to the actual Loc8 software, as in the website, much today. Today's session is very much about our brand new mobile application. I will touch on the system in the background in a couple of areas. We are running some sessions around our brand new activities and visits components at the end of the week. So today is Tuesday evening, the 26th of August, and we'll be running some sessions on the 29th of August with regards to, is it 29th? Yeah, that'd be right, 27, 28, 29th. With regards to our activities and visits components. So don't hesitate to join us for those if you have any questions or if you haven't seen any of that. So we'll touch on the system a little bit, but it'll be primarily about our brand new mobile application today. So first things first, you'll notice that if you do a search through the Apple App Store, I'm assuming this is the same way on the Google Play Store. I think it is. If you go ahead and do a quick search for our brand new application, pull up the word Loc8, and choose either one of the applications. There's a developer option for most or for all applications on the Apple App Store. I'm kind of assuming that the Google Play Store behaves in pretty much the same way. And in this occasion, at least for the Apple App Store, if you press on that developer locate.com button, that'll give you a list of all the applications that are made available for by that particular developer, and in this case, us. So that's a great way to find the new application if you have any difficulties in finding it. It is called Loc8 Field Service 2025, but again, if you just do a search for the word Loc8 in the Apple App Store and press on the developer of locate.com, you'll find all the applications, the two that we offer currently. So if I go ahead and I open up the application itself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the key options that are available from the outset in the form of those buttons at the bottom of the screen here. And then what I'll do is I'll dive into a couple of components with regards to the actual system and some key pieces inside the application itself. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go over every single button. This is an overview. So if you have some specific questions, please, again, don't hesitate to throw them in that Q&A button. And if you happen to forget them, can't think of something at the time, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be very happy to answer any questions that you may have post these sessions as well. So kind of 5 key buttons at the bottom of the screen here. First one is the agenda button, then jobs. Then we've got a generalized create button, which I'll touch on and how that works in the context of some of these other buttons, a customers button, and then a more option as well. If I go ahead and I press on the agenda button, first thing you'll notice is that there's nothing there right now. But if I go ahead and I expand out the calendar, you'll notice hopefully that there's a bit of a blue dot here on the 7th of August. And if I go ahead and I press on that one, what you'll then notice that there is an appointment. My apologies. A visit, as we now call it. Sorry, that's a terminology mistake on my part. A visit, as we now call it, that's present and assigned to me. So what does the agenda button do? The agenda button highlights the fact that we have moved from our old visits module, as we call it, to our new visits module. To not go into much detail about what that change means, because we're going to be covering that off on the session on the Friday. Suffice it to say, the biggest difference between our appointments module and our visits module is that our appointment module on the current system has a one-to-one relationship between appointments and jobs. Simply put, what that means is that when you look at a current Loc8 job, you only have the ability to be able to go ahead and create a single appointment per job. Now, what that also means is that if you have a job that requires some work over, say, multiple days or multiple visits, if you will, then it's kind of hard to visually show that on the current application. So what we did was that we went to our customers and we got a lot of feedback around some of the improvements that they wanted to see in the application. This was a big point that was raised by our customers and the feedback they provided to us, and that is, For jobs that were pretty straightforward, maybe you don't require an hour-long visit, maybe you don't require an hour-long appointment or a two-hour-long appointment, having a one-to-one relationship between appointments and visits made complete sense. Sorry, my apologies. Having a one-to-one relationship between appointments and jobs made complete sense. Sorry about that. However, if the job required multiple visits, in other words, multiple sessions at the site, then that one-to-one relationship was very hard. So what our customers were looking for was a many-to-one relationship. In other words, what they were looking for was that they were looking for the ability to be able to create multiple visits, multiple appointments, if you will, on a per job basis. And so that's exactly what we've done. What we've done is that we've given customers the ability to be able to have or apply or create multiple visits per job. So in the real world, let's say I have a job that requires 3 days worth of work, and those 3 days are, say, today a Tuesday, tomorrow being Wednesday, and the following day being a Thursday. Under the current system, I would have to create an appointment that starts when my first appointment begins, say this morning at, for instance, 8 o'clock in the morning, and that appointment would end on Thursday, as an example, at 5 o'clock in the evening. With our visits module, what you're now able to do is you're now able to go ahead and you're now able to actually create a visit for today between 8 and, say, 5, a visit for tomorrow between, say, 12 and 5 o'clock in the evening, and then a third visit on the Thursday for, say, 10 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, depending upon, how long it would take to get that work completed. So that's a massive change for us when it comes to our appointments to visits functionality. And the purpose of this agenda button on the mobile application is to highlight jobs that are allocated or assigned to me, as has always been the case with the mobile application, where a visit is present and that I am assigned to that particular visit. In addition, the application falls in line a lot more. This new application falls in line a lot more around features and functionality that you have accessible on the website. So what I mean by that is, if your username and your password, if your Loc8 account provides you with a lot more visibility around, for instance, all the jobs in your Loc8 system, or as an example, and we'll get to the customers button in a second here, if your current Loc8 account gives you the ability to be able to create a customer or edit customer details, you will now be able to do that with this new mobile application, because your account has always been able to do that. We've just not given you the ability to be able to do that on the app side of things. It's always been available on the website, the portal side of things, but that functionality is now becoming available on the application as well. So right now I am looking at a visit scheduled for the 7th of August at 2 o'clock, and this visit is assigned to me. If I, however, go ahead and I press on this little John Jensen option in the top right-hand corner, which is, of course, myself, and I choose another one of our team, for instance, the contract test account, and I expand out to the calendar here, and I jump into today, what you'll find is you'll find that that particular technician, member of my team, has a visit created for today and set for today that is starting at 12:30 and going for 3 hours. So because my account has visibility, and you can see this in the background here, because my account has access to all the jobs in the Loc8 system, that also means that I, as the person who's logged into the mobile application, that I can also have visibility around all of my other team and all the visits that are assigned to them as well. So that's the visits button, the agenda button. It's showing the new visits module that's present in our brand new brand new update. If I jump over to the jobs button, what I now get is a list of jobs that are accessible or visible to me. We'll go over what a job looks like and how it functions in a second here. What I will say in this area of the software is that there are some filters and some options from a filtration perspective that are still available because they were available in our old application. I think one thing I want to highlight here is that whilst this application looks very, very different to the application that we currently offer, there are a lot of features and functionality that continue to be available inside of the application, just in different areas. So for instance, if I go ahead and I press on this little filters button on the top right hand corner here, I have the ability to be able to filter out completed jobs, closed jobs, and cancel jobs. So that was functionality that existed on the current or older application, and that functionality is still visible on this current application. You have the ability to be able to sort by or rejig the layout of the list of jobs that you're looking at. You could sort by when they were created, when the due by time was present, if there was one, when the prior was present, when the start by or updated time was present as well. And in addition, because I can do this with my account, with my access rights, I can also have a look at jobs that are allocated or assigned to just particular technicians. For instance, the contractor test account. Click on Done, click on Apply, and you'll notice that the list is updating there accordingly. And you'll also notice, hopefully, that number, which is about 250 odd at the very top of the screen here, is now shrunk down to 70. If I go ahead and I reset that list there, and I want to have a look at just the work that's allocated to just me, click on Apply, and again, you'll notice that number here at the top has changed to 57. And this is literally this is literally a filter. It's filtered out all the jobs that I have access to because of my account, and simply presented to me the list of jobs that are visible to me from an allocation perspective. So it's the jobs that I have been allocated or assigned to. If we then go ahead and we then have a look at the application, if we then go ahead and scroll through the application, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll go ahead and I'll click on that filters button, and I'll reset and come back to the overall list that I have access to. So the next thing I want to touch on is the customers button at the bottom there. This is hopefully exactly what it sounds like, and that is that this is a list of customers in my Loc8 system. Again, you'll notice that in the background here, with this account that I have logged in, I should also say that this particular account that I'm logged in here has the same access rights as the account that I'm logged in with the mobile application as well. This particular account has a customers button at the very top here. So because of that fact, I have access to my list of customers here. I can not only create a customer by pressing on the blue plus button in the center of the screen there, but I can also go ahead and edit or make changes. So if I needed to update a particular customer's phone number, email address, primary contact details, I can do that very easily on the screen there as well. Then if I jump into last but by no means least, if I jump into the More button on the bottom right-hand corner, I can then go ahead and I can have a look at some of the additional options that we offer inside the application itself. So I have the ability under the Workforce button to manage my team. I can not only create accounts, but I can also go ahead and generate, for instance, password resets to my team, or also update, for instance, things like their phone number or their address details, or whatever is relevant to that particular technician. In addition, I have the ability to be able to go ahead and jump into a settings area. Currently, this settings area has a job summary field section. Basically, these are additional pieces of information that we can have visible on the overall jobs list. So if I take away the due by date, but I added the start by date as an example, I jump back into my list of jobs, pull down to refresh, and fingers crossed, if the date is there on the job itself, then that will go ahead and update. And no start. So there are no start by times with these particular jobs until you get down to, for instance, this job in the center of the screen here that has one for the 31st of May. So in that settings area, we've got some fields that can be visible. You can enable and disable things like type and priority. There will be some additional settings that will be coming in the not too distant future as well. And then last but by no means least, if you go ahead and you press on the help button there, what that will do is that will go ahead and that will actually should go ahead and pop up. Sorry about that. It should give you that in-app chat option that we talked about that I showed you on the website. It is available on the mobile application as well. So those are the key buttons at the bottom of the screen there: agenda, jobs, customers, and our More button. I should say also very quickly that if you go ahead and you press on for any one of the three buttons, again, it's all dependent upon what your access rights are like to your Loc8 system. You'll notice that the blue plus button in the center there highlights, and that means that you can go ahead and create those entities. So you can create a customer if you want to. You can create a job on this application. You can also create or add a visit to a specific job as well. Job creation is the next area I'll touch on. If I go ahead and I actually press on the blue create button, I can choose the particular type of job that I want to create. Again, as I think I mentioned before at the beginning of the session, whilst this visually is very, very different to the current mobile application that we offer, the features, the functionality, the options are still very much there. So, as was the case with our older application, when you create a job, you do need to pop in a subject. You do need to pop in a customer and a location as an example. So maybe the all hours courier service there. And then the rest is not mandatory. You can put things in like priorities and start buys and do buys if you want to or not, as the case may be. In addition, if I go ahead and I press on my agenda button there on the left-hand side, then press on the create button, I can go ahead and I can create visits and I can allocate them to particular jobs. I can set a start by and a do by time in this mapping area as well. So that's the key buttons at the bottom there and the functionality from a creating perspective about what you can and can't do. What I'm now going to do is I'm now going to jump into the jobs list. And let's go over a particular job and touch on some of the fields and options that are available in there as well. So I'm in my jobs area. I currently have a list of 275 jobs that are present there. Actually, something I will touch on before we dive into one of the jobs itself, and that is a really massive change for us from a design perspective. On our old application, you didn't have the benefit or the ability to access the benefit of our views structure. So something that I think genuinely continues to surprise me is that some of our customers are unaware that the account that you have for your Loc8 access, if you're a technician, primarily a technician, you do have the ability to be able to use that account on the website, the portal, which is in the background here. So that means that if you're primarily a mobile user, a mobile app user like an iPhone or an iPad, no stress, but you can actually access your jobs through the website as well. So you can use the same username and the same password. What this also means that you have the ability to be able to create your own views, to filter out bits and pieces. As an example, I have the default all view that's present there. But if I was to go ahead and I was to have a look at, for instance, the Apple Open view, then what I would be able to do is I would be able to actually access a view that I've created myself. I've applied some filters here specifically around, say, the status and a customer as well, and that's limited that list down to 50 jobs. Used to be that you didn't have the ability to access these views on the mobile application. So the benefit of doing all that filtration and limiting that list down, well, that benefit did not flow through to the mobile application. And that is no longer the case. So if you have a look at the mobile application here, and I press on the all button at the very top there, and expand the show all button, you'll notice there's a whole bunch of additional views that you have here. And I can go ahead and I can choose the Apple Open view. And one of the things to marry up here is total of 50 on the left, 50 on the bottom of the screen, and 50 at the top there. And you notice that job count now matches up perfectly. Basically what it means that if you have some views that you're using, or if, as the case may be, you're not even using views, you have the ability to be able to use our views functionality and the structure, the real power that comes with views, and then apply that view or roll that view over to the actual mobile application. You do need to create the views on the website, so you do need to create those views on the actual website itself. But once you've created that view is then accessible on the mobile application. So let me go ahead and let me pull up a specific job itself, and that let's dive into the actual details of the jobs and let's go over the options and features and functionality that are available there. So if I go to a search for a job, Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and open up my, I'm going to reload my all view, and then I'll do a search for job number 19. Let me just scroll through that list here, and let me have a look here. Actually, you know what I might do is I might do a 00. I think it's 19 from memory. I was going to pull up a particular job here. So let me go ahead and let me actually pull up an additional view, just an ordinary job here. So I'll go ahead and I'll throw any old job up there, and that job is now opened on the screen there. And my apologies, I'm just going to pop that there. So if you go ahead and you do that, what I'm now in is I'm now in the actual job screen itself, and the actual job itself. So a couple of things I'll go over, and then we'll delve into a few of the actual buttons underneath. You'll notice that there are many pieces of information that continue to be available here and continue to be present as they were before. So things like the status of the job itself, the type of job, the subject of the job number, the customer, the location, that sort of stuff. Something to be aware of, and that is that if you press on the actual address of the job, and then I go ahead and I press on the address details at the bottom there, now this will open up Apple Maps by default, because this is where I'm currently present. At least that's the only mapping application that I have on my phone. However, we now support all the mapping options that are available on your phone. So Google Maps, Waze, and Apple Maps are all now supported on the application itself. As I scroll down through the job here, you'll notice the usual things like the priority, the start by, the due by, the description, all those bits and pieces and entities that are visible on the current application. Something else you'll also hopefully notice as well is that the subject, the status, and the job type are locked to the top there. So as you scroll through, you'll notice hopefully that those options stay rigid at the top of the screen there as well. So I've got this job. I'm happy with what it is right now. What I will do is the first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll update the status of that particular job. So if I'm pressing the change status button on the bottom of the screen there, and I'll go ahead and I'll choose an appropriate status for this particular job. Choosing statuses or setting a status on a job is really, really easy. It's nothing more difficult than that change status button at the bottom of the screen. And you'll notice hopefully that there's a little tray system at the bottom here. It's got a whole bunch of additional buttons that are available. Again, this is all about your access rights. And so as a classic example, that edit button that's present there, if you can make changes to jobs, you will have access to that. But if you can't make changes to jobs, then no, you will not have access to that button because it falls in line with your access rights as it is anyway. So now that I've updated the status of the job, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to set a visit on this particular job. I want to basically add to this job an appointment time, as we used to call it now, and as we're now calling it a visit time. So I'll go ahead and press on the schedule visit button at the bottom of the screen there. The description and the location node fields are not mandatory. I do not have to add them in. Now, this particular job, has not been assigned to a technician or a team member as yet. And the reason I know that is because when I went ahead and created a visit on this job, as we're doing right now, there is no default assignee in there right now. So I will need to go ahead and I will need to allocate this particular job, or this visit, I should say, to a particular member of my team. So I'll go ahead and I'll press on that team member there. I'll set a start date. So let's say, actually, you know what we'll do tomorrow, and we'll go ahead and we'll set that visit for 6:30. Set a finish date for tomorrow, and we'll finish up that visit at 7:30. One thing I will mention as well, and this is interestingly enough, this was a feature that was asked for by a lot of our customers. If you go ahead at this date point, if you actually press on the dates themselves, what you're able to do is you're actually now able to type those details in, which is a feature that we had a lot of customers ask us about. So if I go ahead and I click on the create button on the bottom of the screen there, that visit is now assigned or allocated to this particular job as well. And critically, that particular visit is also assigned to a particular technician as well. So once we've done that, let me go ahead and now dive into the actual activities list itself. So if I jump on the activities list, we've got an activity there already. One of the things to be aware of, and it's just one of these pieces of functionality that I'll touch on in more detail on our Friday sessions, but I'll just quickly touch on this session. And that is that our tasks and subtasks in our current Loc8 software are being upgraded to activities and sub-activities. One of the massive changes that's going to become available with that upgrade is the ability for you to be able to add in custom results. This was an improvement that was asked for by a lot of our customers. Basically, what it boiled down to was that our current tasks and subtasks, well, current tasks, I should say, sorry, have a limited result option. You could only choose the option of passed, failed, or NA with the current crop of tasks. What we've done is that we've gone ahead and we've removed that limitation so that you can now go ahead and create tasks or activities, as we're calling them, with customizable results. It was a feature or a piece of functionality that was asked for by a lot of our customers, and we've responded to that. So in this particular case, I have an activity here with a passed, failed, or NA, which is the standard result option that's available right now. I also have some additional sub-activities which contain the same pieces of customization that was always present with our activities, with our tasks and subtasks. What I will also do is I'll go ahead and I'll add a new activity from my library. So if I go ahead and I press on the add activity from library button at the bottom of the screen there, I'll do a search for a specific activity that I want to add in. I'll go ahead and I'll get that job done against the physical location itself, and then add activities button at the bottom. What you'll notice is that I have an additional activity there. And this time when I go to the results option, you'll now see those customizable results. In this particular case, this activity I created, I added in some result options around 12 volt, 24 volt, and 36 volts. If I go ahead and choose one, let's choose the 36. That sounds good. That result will now go ahead and be popped in. I also have under that sort of that banner of things that change, but things that don't change all at the same time. I continue to have the ability to be able to view or add comments on an activity by activity basis, or even a sub-activity by sub-activity basis as well. So whilst it looks different, in other words, the buttons look different and how you do it looks different, the core functionality is still there. You still have the ability to add in comments on an activity by activity or task by task, as we used to call it, and a sub-activity by sub-activity basis as well. You continue to be able to add photographs in on an activity by activity or task by task or sub-activity by sub-activity basis as well. So pressing that is nothing more difficult than pressing the button. Of course, I can go ahead and I can pop in. I can easily take a photograph there as well. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll press on that button right there. But go ahead and I press on that one right there, and that'll add that particular photograph in to that particular activity. In addition, what I also have is I also have the ability to be able to do that at a sub-activity level, much like we did with our subtasks as well. The next thing I'd love to cover off from a functionality perspective is specifically around this photograph area. So one of the things that we received from a feedback perspective is that we have a number of our customers who have to take a lot of photographs or capture a lot of photographic evidence when they're doing work on site. One of the things that they highlighted to us was that they highlighted to us the fact that they had a situation where they needed to capture a lot of pictures, 5, 10, 15, 20 photographs. And we said, no problem, no problem. What you can do is you can upload a maximum of 5 photographs at any time, but there's no limit to the amount of photographs that you can upload. And the response was, that's fine, but because we have to go through sub-activity by sub-activity. We'd really, really love it if there was a better way, an easier way to upload or add those photographs on a sub-activity or activity by activity basis. And so what we've done is that we've specifically responded to that situation. So what we now have is you now have the ability to be able to go ahead and upload a whole bunch of photographs into the to the job itself. Let's say that I take let's throw in there a couple of additional photos in there. So we'll use that particular one. And you know what we'll do is that we'll add in an additional photograph right there, and we'll pop that in. And what I now have is I now have a total of 2 extra photographs there. And you know what? For good measure, we'll pop in one more there as well, just to mix things up. So if I go ahead and I do that right there, I now have 3 additional photographs on an overall job basis that I can now do things with. And to the idea and the concept of needing to be able to link these photos to a particular activity or a particular sub-activity, I now have a linkage button. So at an activity or at a sub-activity level, if I go ahead and I press and hold on that particular button and simply choose the add from job function from that list, I can go ahead and now really, really easily go ahead and just add in or link these particular photographs to these particular activities or sub-activities. And it is easy as that. So that's a piece of feedback that we got directly from our customers. We wanted to try and make that process as easy as humanly possible. 2 last things, and then I'd love to take any questions. Actually, 3 last things, my apologies. At the top of the screen here, we have 2 little arrows. If you go ahead and compress those down, expand those out. In this case, what that will do is that will open up every single activity and every single sub-activity. If I go ahead and I press it on again, it'll compress it down, and you'll notice that list is immediately shrunk as well. I have the ability with this little arrow or this little sort button here at the top of the screen to be able to go ahead and rejig the layout or resort the layout of activities that I have. So I can sort by asset as an example, get that grouping going. Or I might be able to sort by reference and get that grouping as well. So you'll notice the reference number for each of those activities, or lastly, sort by status as well. And of course, we have some additional sorting options and some additional status options at the top of the screen there as well. Very much because that functionality was there in the old application, and we wanted to replicate it as well. So last but by no means least, you'll notice at the bottom here that there's a little tray icon, a little tray with buttons. One of the nice things as well is if that tray ever disappears, don't worry, stress not. Top right-hand corner, the 3 little dots, you'll be able to go ahead in each of the areas and go ahead and get that tray to reappear. So that is our brand new application. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. What I will do is I'll just jump in here and have a look and see if there are any questions that we have had posed. If there are not, amazing. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I might have done my job, which is even better. And that would be brilliant. As I mentioned before, if there are not any questions, no problem. Don't hesitate to reach out to us post this session. I would love to assist in any way, shape, or form. Love to help. Love to answer any questions that you might have, if you have any. And this is not a one-shot deal. Again, if there are questions that pop to mind or come to mind later on post this session, please don't hesitate to get those to us, and we would love to help in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not noticing any there, which is, I think, a good thing. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. As I mentioned, things like our email address of service@loc8.com, our in-app chat option just underneath that help and news button there. And you can go ahead and send us a message if anything pops to mind post this session. Thank you so much, everybody. I really do appreciate the fact that some of you are doing this out of hours and in the evening for you as well, and some of you are doing it in the early morning. So again, thank you so much for spending time with me. Again, if we can help, we'd love to. Don't hesitate to reach out. And most importantly, have a great evening, and I will look forward to speaking to you all in the not too distant. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night. Take care. Bye bye.